Paschall. We are streaming blitz and classical chess on lichess and Twitch. My handle on Twitch is Slaggy, and my handle on lichess is Sparkle Horse. We're playing again blitz and classical. You can challenge me to any time between 5 and 8 minutes, with a small increment, preferably. It's actually not optional. I require a small increment between 3 and 5 seconds for every game. We do have challenges already from Bappy and Plucro. Bappy, relatively new player to my stream. I think I played him once or twice. Just once. So we are ready to get started, and I'm going to accept those challenges in a second. Yesterday was a rest day at Weekend Zay, so I have nothing to talk about on that front. Other than, Elianov was the leader. It's a little surprising, but he's a very tough customer. And today that will continue round 5 of Weekend Zay. So later in the afternoon, after watching the stream, you can pick up some good chess by watching the live coverage of Weekend Zay, wherever. Bappy, Plucro, and Vasila Kos are the 3 challenges we're starting with here. 8-3. Yesterday we had a weird Wednesday stream, which means that I was playing unusual openings, but every other day during the week I play just my standard stuff. So my opening repertoire is fairly wide, though. I do play 2 or 3 defenses to e4 and d4, and with white all different stuff, so it's not too boring, I hope. Let's go with our main defense, the Sicilian. Plucro, welcome to the chat. If anybody has any questions, chess questions, or discussion about your favorite movie, no, seriously, just chess is our primary focus here. But feel free to chat about whatever. Knight c3, I like, really enjoy playing theoretical variations in the Sicilian, and so throughout my career, it's kind of a bummer when people play knight to c3 against me. I talked about e6 type setups like a week ago. I tried that out in one of my games. It didn't go so well. I'm just not really formulated for playing e6. I think you need more practice. I feel much more comfortable in the fianchetto kind of formations. Now, as far as playing Bappy is concerned, I don't remember. Oh, this was some kind of simul game. Okay. It was a French type of structure and a simul. I do have to kind of move a little bit faster, though. One thing I was noticing lately, I'm getting into just ridiculous time pressure. So I like to talk about the games. Losing my voice there. Though I like to talk about the games, I think it might be for the best if I speed it up a little bit. So the other day I played e6 against International Master Spinal Tap in this position. We did lose an ending against him. Knight c6 bishop b5 is a weird one. Knight c6 bishop b5 became popular like 15 years ago, and I was in there playing it on occasion myself with white, because at the time it had a lot of surprise value. I think the first strong player I saw play it was Alexander Strupunsky, and consequently a lot of players, but that's certainly no longer any kind of surprise weapon. Rook b8, this is kind of like a main line. Alternatively, I could switch back to an e6 type of setup with e6 and knight to d4. I just forgot about something. I had a game a few years ago where I played queen d7. This is a Miles move. And not a few years ago. It's been a good, almost 10. It's been about 10 years ago. I had a game with queen d7. That's an interesting line. Actually, I should try that more often. But anyway, so f4, and now I don't think there's any reason I can't play b5 in this position. e5 would be a mistake for white here. It would transpose. Actually, after e5, queen d7 is probably black's best move. And e5 is premature for white. So nothing tricky, please. I think most players wouldn't know to find queen d7 in that position, but maybe a little bit of trial and error. I'm sure other moves are possible in the event of e5, like knight to d4, but queen d7 is a nice, solid move. Kukro says queen d7, what's the point? Defend the knight on c6. Black plays b5 without even playing rook b8 in some lines. It's a standard square for the queen in many lines of the English, and you can try a counter fianchetto on the queen side. I don't know if you've seen me play the black side of the symmetrical English, Plukro, but I do that all the time in the symmetrical English. It is slightly different structure, but commonly used stratagem. Both the English and occasionally here in the closed Sicilian. Rook b1. Now the problem for white, I think, he doesn't have a good retreat for his knight. Knight d5 gets trapped with e6. And now his pieces are a little bit like jumbled up with knight e2. Symmetrical English is boring. I used to think that too, but I started to enjoy playing it for black. Can't stay symmetrical forever. Just a temporary sort of boredom. So now, some interesting tries, like knight h6 maybe. Is e5 a threat? I guess queen b6. This is kind of standard. Reinforcing control of d4. Black could try something adventurous there. Maybe I should just go completely materialistic and play like queen a5. Grab this pawn on a2. But it is like an entirely materialistic kind of approach, which is not really my normal philosophical mode of operation. Bishop a6. We could also play a5. I thought it's a little slow though, honestly. And I want to prevent d4. By playing bishop a6, I've actually stopped d4. But Bappy seems very at home here. He's played this position a million times or something. I suppose this is probably a common answer, like rook b1. Maybe I really had to do that materialistic approach with queen a5 because white has no answer. I mean, he has to lose material there, it looks like, after queen a5. Queen takes a2. If e5 were to occur, I could play with bishop b7 or bishop d7. I don't think white really has any follow-up to e5. So complicated but principled to play queen a5, try to win the pawn on a2. Are there any sequels to that game? I'm not really sure. What are you guys talking about? Never mind. You guys are talking about games? What game? Oh, it's a joke? It's too early in the morning for jokes. It takes me like my entire coffee before I can understand what you're talking about. Alright, I'm going to play knight to d4. Try to get a grip on these squares in the center. Bappy has some kingside threats, and it's very, very typical for this kind of variation. I don't normally play these setups with knight on f6 that much. Alright, so now we've got the pawn on d4. He was not obliged to take that, by the way. And we should have some counterplay along the c file, but the placement of my queen is a little tricky. So let's see what he does here. I don't know what his intention is. But basically the normal strategic plan is to focus on the backward pawn on c2. And sometimes his a pawn gets loose, but then again we're back to queen a5 type of ideas. And that's probably too dangerous at the moment. So in the meanwhile, white has some kingside space, some attacking chances on the king side. You know, the typical kind of plan, like maybe queen d2, bishop h6. But no time to organize it right in this moment. Bishop d2. Essentially a passive move. Why not bishop g5, I wonder? Don't really have an answer there. I also don't have that much counterplay at the moment. We're going to have to reorganize everything. I'm a little nervous about him building up an attack on the king side with like queen h4 and knight to g5. So playing knight e5 basically encourages an exchange of knights, after which I don't think he's ever going to have like a serious attack on the king side. And more or less we can just focus on exploiting our space advantage on the other front. That's my thinking here. This piece is the last piece that can really do any damage to me. Good sacrifice here. Knight takes d3. But I think there he's got some attacking chances on the king side. If I leave this knight on the board and his queen comes to h4, those three pieces can really do some damage. So let's just trade it off. It's a strong knight. Maybe I could have waited, but he could put the knight on g5. Things would get more complicated. I would say this is just a tiny bit better for black, but I might be wrong. Maybe white is fully equal. It just seems to me that this point on c2 is more of like a long-term weakness. And his kingside attack isn't that dangerous. Rook c1 maybe. Unfortunately, he's got pressure on b4, and I can't play a5, and where I move my bishop is pretty relevant here. Bishop c8, I suppose. Necessary evil. Bring the bishop to d7. Not obstruct my rook's protection of b4. He still has some threats on the king side. $1900 classical. He doesn't have too many games, but in bullet. Plays mostly in bullet. At least it wasn't like a tactical game for the first game of the day. Usually that's kind of tough. Rock and Eagle. Rocky Top. Pukro. Chess Novice. After the knight trade, I definitely prefer white. You're entitled to your opinion. But I feel that white's attacking chances are kind of limited. Whereas this is like a permanent problem for white. Here I had to guard the e7 pawn. I have doubled pawns, he doesn't. When you have doubled pawns, there is one hidden advantage which a lot of people don't realize or think about consciously, and that's the fact that we have a half-open file that he does not have. He has no half-open file. We have half-open file because of the doubled pawns, and I think that's what gives black like a slight preference here. I don't really see how he's going to organize a strong attack after queen h4. I was a little more scared of like h4, h5 trying to open a file, to be perfectly honest. Now he's going to sacrifice something. How serious? Yeah, e7 is pretty serious. I don't know if I have time to take this pawn. Could play f6 though. How dangerous is this going to get? Is g5 in that case? Maybe it's better not. All right. Take on h6 and then take on c2. This looks very dangerous for me. I think he missed his best move there. Probably g5 right here. My position might be defensible. Still, it looks dangerous. He should still play g5. But again, g5. Actually, best be careful here. Now I have take. losing a pawn. He lost on time here. Wow. Nice game. 100 blitz games. Pretty strong. Outplayed me. So, you outplayed me. Good game, man. You deserve to win that. I'm going to play knight f3 here. That's a quality game by white, I would say. In fact, I think Bapi doesn't play much but bullet, but in fact he's probably stronger not playing bullet. I would say he played the game like a solid candidate master. So his real strength is not like 1600 like his bullet rating. His real strength is over 2000. Black is better with the better bishop. Yeah, but I was dropping pawns. I was down a very bad your pet h3. You're taking advantage of the fact that you can't play your h3. I played a lot of different lines against the Dutch. I don't know why I decided to play this move order. Normally, Plucro, you're lucky because I'm still kind of sleepy. I would normally play d3 here. I haven't had one of those in a long time because I rarely play like knight f3 and meet f5 right away. But I like d3 a lot. It's a little late. I can play an English type position. I don't know if I can handle another closed Sicilian, to be perfectly honest. Suvik, you have multiple accounts. Well, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, just don't use them both in the stream at the same time because I don't want to like play the same player twice. E4 is quite decent. Knight f3, f5, e4. Yeah, of course. I know. I mean, I've played e4, but I think that there are like very concrete solutions against e4 and d3. There are concrete solutions against that too, but objectively, I think a lot of people don't know it as well as e4. You can get an improved version of e4 if black makes a mistake there. Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. I've been aware of the Lichess Gambit probably since like 1989 or something. That's one of the more aggressive ways that we can play. In fact, a lot of Dutch players don't even play the Dutch against knight f3 because they don't like to play those kind of positions. So I would use it to discourage certain players from playing the Dutch. Anyway, you played c6. I was thinking if I decide to play the Dutch with black, I would probably play this line with c6. It's probably the safest. Although you're playing at a move early here. Normally you're castling first. So I don't understand why black's playing c6 first. Now it transposes, but I doubt there's any benefit to playing c6 first rather than castling. Wary. Yeah, I'm not really fully awake yet, so this is your chance to beat me, guys. Usually the first couple games I'm pretty vulnerable. A5. Played a million billion games, you know, in the main line with e5, d takes e. But a5. I don't know, a5. I could play a lot of different things. Knight d4. Rook b1, getting off the long diagonal. Or maybe even bishop e3. Okay, Plukro, it's a blitz game, so I don't know. No, I'm just saying, Plukro, you're supposed to castle before playing c6, but I guess it doesn't really make that big a difference. It shouldn't really matter, is what I'm saying. I don't think there's any way that white can take advantage of you switching the order between castles and c6. But here you're dropping the pawn. You have to play bishop d7 first. You're kind of mixing systems, kind of like it's... You're playing it like it's a queen e8 variation. Pausing for thought here because if bishop takes c6, e5. Probably not that sure what's going on there. Maybe I should take with the knight. It's a lot simpler. And then just knight d5. Knight b5 is also good. I would think knight d5 though. Simpler. Simpler is not necessarily always better, but when you don't have much time left. Last game against Suvik or Bappy, I drifted into a attack. Our first game today. I didn't think he would have enough material over there on the king side to really generate any threats, but I was wrong about that. Wow, okay. e5, white's winning on the queen side. Looks like a good King's Indian. Nothing fancy for me here, I guess. We just have to play the position. This looks like a really good English opening. Gone wrong for black. Improved version of last game. No risk, no kingside attack for black. And we're just up a pawn on the queen side with a monster knight on c6. Yeah. Cutting off my bishop. Blue Crow is not going to just roll over and die. Is that the message I'm getting here? He's also pretty fast. Maybe this is a mistake. Oh, I thought he'd play rook b8 there. I was afraid of rook fb8. I'm always in time pressure, guys. Second, I was like, my queen's trapped. I have a couple places to go, but not that many. This has to be fatal. Would have been better to play bishop takes a5, maybe? Objectively, I should be winning. Blue Crow is a fast typist. Bishop e3 doesn't work. It's just queen this pawn. This bishop is somewhat reduced in power on g2, obviously, but the other one makes up for it. We'll save this g2 bishop for later. I could have played rook c6, but this wins a piece. Anyway, guys, welcome to my stream today. We are in our usual customary time pressure. This was a 5-4 game, and you guys are welcome to challenge me to blitz, as well as classical chess. I almost had a heart attack there. I thought I hung a piece when you played rook takes c5. I was like, what? What did I miscalculate? Up a rook. Okay, anyway, exciting, but not really correct. Normally, Blue Crow, you're supposed to play e5 in that variation, but there are other lines. I think not very common after c6 though. You know, there's a lot of experimental stuff you can play. A lot of experimental stuff you can play before you commit to c6, but once you play c6, mostly just e5. A lot of interesting moves if you don't play c6, like Kevin Spraggett played bishop d7 against me. There are a lot of weird lines with that, and like knight a6 and a5 there maybe. But once you commit to c6 so early, I think your options are pretty reduced as far as continuations go. Now it's a King's Indian or Grunfeld. The idea for a nifty feature, possibility to see a chronological list of current challengers. Well, I think it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, good idea. Well, I'll show you guys. We have a lot of challengers today. Don't know why. Some days we have more than others. Monday I had a lot of viewers on Twitch, and like Tuesday and Wednesday a little bit less. What do you guys think? Why do you guys think that Monday is better than like Tuesday and Wednesday, for example? Welcome, Octopus Rampage. Yeah, I'm not really comfortable with the closed Sicilian, Subic. I mean, I think one of the reasons for that is that it's just not played by strong players very often. Most of the top players prefer to play sharper open lines, so I don't get a lot of practice against the closed Sicilian. The Grand Prix attack and some of these more aggressive versions of it are more common. Okay, against Vasilikos, let's play something. Well, let's play the main line. And I always played b4 here. I guess I experimented with knight d2 back in the day when I was coming up, but when Karpov was playing that line a lot. But b4 is has surpassed the other lines in terms of popularity, and I have more knowledge about b4 than anything else. So-called bayonet attack. And here, now all the modern players are playing rook e1. I've also played c5. And Luc Van Welly's old favorite, g3. But rook e1 has surpassed those other moves as the main line. f5, one of the main continuations for black here. And Vasilikos, I don't know how strong he is objectively. Not too many games. Blitz, he's got 1700 and 1700 games. One game for every rating point. So he's played quite a bit. A lot of people know the theory here really, really well, though. Just because he's not a high-rated player doesn't mean he doesn't know 20 moves of theory in this variation. A lot of books exist on the King's Indian. This particular line is maybe not at the moment, but it was very, very trendy at one time. So I suppose black has two moves here. At least two moves. You can go back or play knight f4. And white's response may be different depending on what black does. But it's in your favor with people that I haven't studied this lately, so I'm not really prepared to play this in a tournament game at the moment. If this was a tournament game, I wouldn't play the white side of the classical. I would play something like less theoretical. Knight f6 and I think bishop f3, and I have had games, at least one game here, not that long ago. I think originally they tried to play f3, but it's not really as good. Knight e6 isn't so clear after that. White creates some weaknesses in the position on the dark squares, for example. So bishop f3, I think, is the modern interpretation. This is probably mainline, and I've definitely had at least one game in the stream in this position. I think I had a tournament game back in around 2005. Quite a long time ago. I don't remember the guy's name. It was a British player, like a FIDE master. That game was a draw. Kramnik started a real trend with his bayonet attack. Kramnik. Well, Kramnik may have played it, but I don't think that Kramnik started any trend. I mean, I've been playing the bayonet attack since like 1990, you know, to be honest. The first one who played if I recall correctly, the player who like revitalized it was probably like Ivan Sokolov. It may have been Sokolov who first played Rookie 1. Now I can't remember. This move is the move that revitalized the whole variation. But, I mean, I'm sure Kramnik has played main lines. But I wouldn't attribute Kramnik as like a major developer of this variation. Kramnik plays a lot of different stuff. Kramnik actually played a lot of Petrosian systems with white. He's contributed to that quite a bit. But f4, this looks strange. I think you're supposed to keep the tension here. c6 seems to me probably mainline. c6, and I think I played a game with queen b3 on my stream. But then I later realized that maybe that was wrong. I had a game where I did something really bad. I remember that. But f4 looks wrong. You're taking the pressure off the center. I think, yeah, it was a simul game, in fact. Now that I remember it correctly. I had a simul game here. It might have even been a Greek guy. Vasilikos from Greece. It wasn't Kyriakos Pez, another Greek player who's playing a lot on my stream. A similar position where he tried to play like g5, g4. Possible. g5, g4 is not even a threat here because I have bishop takes g4. It's hard for him to play like g5 and h5. But if I ignore it completely and play something like queen to b3, black will have time to maybe play like g5, g4. Kramnik like beat Kasparov with the Petrosian system, but there may have been some bayonet attack too. I certainly have missed a lot of games, particularly in the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm not an authority, but Kramnik has a wide repertoire, and I think he's played different stuff against the King's Indian over the years. Like most people. I don't know what to do here. h3 looks kind of passive. Queen b3 walks into knight c6, I guess. c5 looks thematic. Bishop b2 is another idea to play against, like knight coming to d4. Even b5 is interesting, stopping knight c6 and preparing maybe knight d5. I'm a little bit worried he could kind of block the position if I do b5, though. I have a feeling if he does c6, I'm supposed to play bishop b2. But against f4, and that's what I think I messed up last time. They did c6 and I was supposed to play bishop b2, but instead I played something like queen b3. But after f4, the position is different. Thematically, I mean, c5 is a good break, but he can bring his knight to like d4. Even knight d5 is probably a good move. Maybe this is just the simplest. Stopping knight c6. He can never take on d5. So this stops a lot of his plans. He can never take. c6 is... no, I didn't stop c6, actually. Maybe this was a mistake. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. c6, knight takes f6, rook takes f6, bishop g4. And I think white's still better. But it's problematic. Did you empty the recycle bin? Well, the problem wasn't the recycle bin. The problem was there was nothing in the recycle bin. The problem was that I just needed to defragment the computer, and it seems good. Everything is running better since I did that. I thought that the defragmentation was like set automatically, but for some reason it had gotten turned off. So the computer just hadn't been defragmented in quite some time. And I think that this simple old school problem was all it was. So black may be just short of counterplay here. Unfortunately, I might have to play bishop g4. Black's going to have to react very vigorously if he wants to get out of this somehow. There's no slowly creeping away. I mean, you're either going to have to do something dramatic or you're going to get squeezed. Hopefully that will induce him to do something crazy. The pawn is quite dangerous on the 6th rank, of course. This is causing a lot of discord in his position. But f4 is not a good move. I'm certain of that. But even so, it's interesting how difficult it is to even like find the right move for white after move 14. It's not obvious to me what the best move is here, and I'm still not really happy with knight to d5. Yes, we can subject it to a computer. King h7. This is like a neutral move. One neutral move deserves another. I don't want to take my queen off the file, pressuring d6. I don't like my rook on the long diagonal with the bishop on g7, so rook b1. And also, you know, in the event of a5, I don't have to worry about that. I can play a3 or something. The rook has lateral mobility. When you're short of time, it's very important to find, you know, practical moves that serve multiple purposes. Bishop on h3 becoming a little bit out of play, but queen e8 now. He wants to trap my bishop. Okay, well, this is a very vital pawn, and this is a very vital pawn. So whatever will be, will be. I can always play g3. I'm like quoting Shakespeare or something, but it's a really lame quote. Alright, g5. Even g4 is possible. That looks horrible, though. Queen takes e5. Actually, even that's possible. But I'd rather not lose my bishop if I can help it. Not all that bad on f1. I suppose I could play bishop. Maybe I should play bishop g2 and wait for him to play f3 and then play bishop f1. I guess that would have been better. Kind of panicked there with bishop f1 right away. Hopefully it doesn't matter. Not that significant, is it? Black's a little constricted. Kind of hard for him to distangle his pieces. I mean, one would expect rook d8. It just doesn't really do anything, you know, rook d8. I don't mind trading queens, although I can think about grabbing this pawn on b7. I think I'd prefer an ending with a good structure. Get our bishop in the game. And things look pretty optimistic for white. We're getting a little low on time. I thought this was kind of passive. Maybe objectively a good move. He did well to get this far. b5, I think that's bad. Shouldn't touch the queen side. I could also take en passant and try to create an outside pass pawn, but I think I'd rather focus on this pawn being a weakness. This may be like the losing move. Or a losing move. He's practically in Zugzwang. No matter what I do, he finds a defense. Even has a defense to this. Wow. I think this exchange is premature on G3. Too many pawns. It doesn't really matter, but that's good enough. So good game, Vasilakos. Well played. Well played. You almost hung in there. I think you had interesting chances, but at the end, the two bishops were too strong. Thanks everyone for joining me. We're going to play Mule Skinner next. The stream is buggy for me. Oh my god, we're dropping frames. Sorry guys.